Dabo Swinney says Clemson has 7 true starting offensive linemen. Is this the year we actually believe him? That's all coming up right now on Locked on Clemson.
You are Locked on Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host right here on Locked on Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM, The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked on Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Big salute out there to the everydayers, the heartbeat of the show, the ones who ride with us Monday through Friday, no matter what. This is your daily home for Clemson talk, football, hoops, recruiting, and everything in between. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the show. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And this is going to be another good episode because Dabo Swinney officially came to the podium to talk to the media to start off fall camp. It is that time. We are here. As Dabo said at the end, the boys are back in town. We are here for it, and it's getting closer and closer to the start of the college football season. And the claims are again back out there that Clemson has 7 legitimate offensive linemen this year that will be in the starting rotation. And he said by the end of fall, he wants there to be close to 10. That's the ultimate goal. Is this the year that I think he actually means it? Well, we've heard it all before. We've got 10 starter caliber offensive linemen. We're going to rotate everywhere. But then the season starts off, reality kicks in, and you see generally the same 5 guys unless there's a major injury or, there's a blowout. So what makes 2025 different if there is a difference? Well, in my opinion, this is the time that there is a difference. And this is the year that there is no fluff to what Dabo Swinney is telling us. Clemson has 4 guys that I believe, and I think you would agree, that are absolute locks on the offensive line. Tristan Leigh is going to be your left tackle. Ryan Linthicum is going to be your center. Walker Parks going to be your right guard. And Blake Miller going to be your right tackle. The guys that would back them up or even fit into that one question mark, which is left guard where Marcus Tate was, are guys that you are familiar with and should not be surprised when I say their names. Elijah Thurman came on strong as a true freshman till he got injured and had literally the talk of the town when he was out there. Colin Sadler, upstate boy, becoming a grown man now. Again, a lot of great reviews about him before he got injured. And he's got experience. So 2 guys that have actually been on the field, not what ifs or maybes or talent and nothing to back it up, but guys that have had experience. And then Harris Sewell, one of the best players from his state of Texas, comes in and he possibly could be a starter as well. Well, I named 4 that we know legit that will be locks for this offensive line. And then I just named 3 that I think are going to fill into that opening spot or rotate in where needed. Well, my math isn't always as good as it should be, but that is carry the 1, multiply the 3. That's 7. That to me is real depth, real talk, no fluff, and some flexibility as well, along with real experience and not what ifs. I think as a Clemson fan, it's easy to be jaded. It's easy to be skeptical about the offensive line. But I believe that when Dabo Swinney says it this year, our reaction should be, finally, this is it. Because Morgan Thomas said so. No, because Dabo Swinney said so. And when we look at the roster, it actually kind of makes sense now. So I like the rotation of guys we have. For the first time, Clemson's going to have not just a great group of guys that you can trust, but a coach that you feel like is going to allow this team to get to their maximum potential in Matt Luke. There is now proof that Clemson has a very good offensive line. They're saying that, they're still doing the normal process of evaluating and throwing in some cross training as well. Guards, tackles, centers. To me, when you talk about stuff like that, it goes back to confidence and belief in the guys you have and belief in their development that they've made. If they're not ready for that kind of stuff, if they can't even do one position, you're not going to cross train them on two. So these guys seem to be guys they can trust, have experience, are coming back and are at the right time getting healthy, and had that skill set to be able to do different positions if needed. I've said it before, and it's true. Clemson is to be the elite team they need to be. Running game is to do whatever it's going to do this season. And if Cade Klubnik and those Frisbee catching dogs out there are going to be elite, then it has to and will begin and end at the offensive line, at the line of scrimmage. Clemson cannot afford to be one-dimensional. They cannot afford to have their running game shut down completely. It's already a big question mark. If you have no running game, then that makes Cade one-dimensional. It makes Garrett Riley one-dimensional. On the flip side, if Cade has no time, no protection, no ability to set his feet and to be calm in the pocket and trust those around him, then that pressure is going to kill drives. You could see Cade going back to the old Cade. I always say, if you want to see how the drive's going to go, look at Cade Klubnik's feet. Cade Klubnik's feet go through what his eyes and his mind is telling him about his protection around him. And so the offensive line is the foundation. It's the key. So yes, this is the year. This is the time that I'm buying into what Dabo Swinney is selling us. That they actually have 7 guys that can rotate in, that they can trust to be versatile in multiple spots. I think they even mentioned about Elijah Thurman taking snaps to spell for Ryan Linthicum. That to me, is kind of interesting. I'll give you some more thoughts on the fall camp offensive line and what I think they should do, what my opinion would be about it in the next segment. But yes, this is the year that I think, as long as they stay healthy, play like the group that we believe that they are, this will lead Clemson right back to the ACC championship game, right back to a 10-win or more season, and right back into the college football playoffs behind an offensive line that you can trust and a coach that is going to be able to get them ready and get them there. Coming up on the next segment, we're going to talk about the fall offensive line battles, which ones are out there since they have 7 starters. Where are the actual battles out and where can we watch for them? Right here on Locked On Clemson. When I'm on top of my hydration, I notice everything works better. My energy, my mood, my focus, even my skin. But getting enough fluids every day isn't always easy, and that's why I've been loving Drip Drop. Drip Drop is doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half of the sugar of leading sports drinks. I always keep a few Drip Drop packets in my flight bag or in my studio when I'm recording Locked On Clemson, whether I'm sweating it out during my workouts in the garage or powering through preparation as I'm going to go fly long days. Staying hydrated for me is extremely critical. My go-to flavor is lemon. It tastes clean, refreshing, and it's not too sweet, and it hits fast exactly when I need it. Drip Drop makes it easy to stay locked in even on my busiest days. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head over to dripdrop.com and use code LockedOnCollege. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LockedOnCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits you hard. Offensive line is going to be an area that, again, is going to make or break Clemson. We know the top 7. I've given you the names. If you missed it, go back and rewind. But how will fall camp shake out? What will the battles be? What can we watch for in 2025 in August? To me, there's one guy that I circle the name around, and that is Braden Jacobs. I mean, he is so big and so powerful. I believe that he'll come in and kind of crash the party against these guys because Clemson has a lot of veteran guys out there. Dabo's goal is to come out of camp with 10 offensive linemen ready to go. Well, that's ambitious for me. He says he's cross-training guys and trying to get them in the best spot possible, but also be as versatile as possible. Elijah Thurman taking snaps, Colin Sadler moving around left to right. But a guy on the outside looking in, for me, has to be Braden Jacobs, and it's a good thing because he's a true freshman. He should be on the outside looking in. He should be coming in having something to prove. I, on the other hand, want to go against Dabo in this case, and this means nothing because I'm just a talking head. But my personal opinion is you can tell me you want 10 all you want, and that to me is a stretch goal by any word of the imagination I guess. But to me, I'm okay. Get your 5 out there. Have a few guys that can rotate in, and that's what you need. And to me, Clemson already has that. So there may be some guys that could surprise you here or there, but I'm not super excited about cross-training. I mean, you got 3 guys in the back that are rotational guys. I want to see Tristan Leigh most of the time. I want to see Blake Miller most of the time. If I'm not seeing those guys, Clemson needs to be up or down by a lot, or barring injury. So your tackles to me are, I don't want to see them unless the game's out of hand, one way or another. Lock them in. I think you got them, so lock them in. Not a time to try to balance everything out and appease mamas and daddies. It's not youth rec ball or anything like that. Lock them in. Those are your offensive tackles. That's who you got. And we know that Clemson's locking them in. So there's really no question there. For me, then, the center, Ryan Linthicum, to me, he's locked in. Walker Parks, locked in. The biggest question mark is that left guard position, and you've already got 3 guys that you could rotate in. My biggest thing is when there's time and opportunity, that's when you throw in Braden Jacobs. He's the wild card to me. He's the additional guy you could add in to give you 8. I fail to see where you'd need 10. 8 to me is okay. 7's fine. 8 is even better. You have Braden Jacobs, 6'7", 350. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to make a huge impact as a freshman where he can. And when I say huge impact, like I said, with the opportunities given, if you will. If Blake Miller has to rest for a minute, throw Jacobs out there. Tristan Leigh has to rest for a minute. Maybe that's when you put Colin Sadler or someone a little bit more experienced out there, but you move Braden Jacobs if you need to an interior spot. That's the guy that I want to see, and it's really not about a competition or a battle. Because I already feel like Matt Luke and Clemson is in a great spot with their offensive linemen for the first time in years. I mean, how many years has it been since we really have felt good about the guys returning and haven't had a ton of question marks, haven't had a ton of injuries? The biggest mystery for me, honestly, when I go through that roster is the fact that Dietrich Pennington is on the list. I don't even know anything about him. He is a mystery. 85 snaps in what, 5 years? This is his 5th year now. He's a COVID baby. I don't know. I don't know anything about Dietrich Pennington other than the fact that I really wanted him to do well. If he's going to get any kind of opportunity, now is the time. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, someone like a player who never plays but is constantly on the team, it's a big question mark to me. What are we doing with that position? What are we doing with that player? They just not earning a spot? Is everybody else just that much better than them? They can't even get in a rotation? He would be the one that I feel like there's a lot of hype and there was a lot of hype. Now that it just doesn't get talked about. But he is still on the list, still on the roster. When you go and you look up his name, he's still on the website. Go and look on social media. He's still in the team dinner. And I say 2020, that's wrong. He wasn't there since 2020. He was there since 2021. But either way, he's been around a lot and really had a lot of high hopes for him, but not seeing much from him. So I'm curious if he will finally get his shot, be able to break into that rotation. Those are the two guys that I have on my list that are kind of the biggest question marks for me. LSU is coming fast. We know that first game of the season is not going to be your easiest game of the season. We've got a team that many think is a top 5 team opponent in LSU, that many believe their quarterback is good or better than Cade Klubnik, or their 1A and 1B between the two. And so this is going to be a knockdown, drag out. So put it on IMAX, watch it in the Sphere in Las Vegas kind of game. This is a big game. And if it wasn't for Ohio State playing beginning of the season as well, I could have swore that Lee Corso would have come and game day would have been there. To me, this game is the biggest game even more, but I know since it's being Lee Corso's last weekend that he'll do that Ohio State game because first one. So I get there's some tradition there, right? This is a huge game. Tigers versus Tigers, Death Valley versus Death Valley, Clemson, LSU, ACC, SEC. Two potential Heisman candidates. A lot of talent on the field. One that's built around transfer portal replenishing, and one that's built around development. This period of fall camp in August is much more than just finding people that rotate in, right? At this point, Dabo said this is kind of the performance phase. This is not the beginning of the season. It is kind of for us, but for them, he starts in January, and the development starts there. And now it's about to be showtime. Got to get ready for the big stage that starts August 30th. One of the biggest teams in the country. So as much as it is about these battles or kind of battles that we're thinking about, I don't think there'll be much on the offensive line, but it is to me more about building rhythm and that rotation that you can get in. They're not needing bodies to just fill positions. They're trying to get the best possible rotation and the best rhythm possible. The offensive line, if they haven't gelled already, they need to gel as fast as possible and get battle ready for LSU. Everything, all eyes on starting the season off strong, because nobody will care as much about Troy, The rest of the season the beginning of the season gets extremely frustrating if you lose that first game of the season. I know it's a hard one to go against, but you don't want musical chairs from the fall to continue into August and September. I want a locked in group of guys. I'd rather not have 10. I don't think they even can do 10. Honestly, in this day and age of college football, can you even do 10? With paying everybody, can you pay legit 10 rotational offensive linemen? I don't think so. Give me your locked in top 5. Rotate 2, maybe 3. That's the formula that I think will be the best to get you through the season. That's the biggest thing, starting off strong and then managing as you go. LSU, much like what I wish Georgia was last season, cannot be the game that you hold things back. As if Georgia last season was the game too much back. Don't hold anything back the first game because you've got to win that game. Home game, there's no excuse. And then roll from there with the rest of your September. That should be winning out the rest of the season as I kind of put my prediction out there. All right, we're going to finish up the show talking about Clemson's offensive line and the matchup specifically against LSU. Biggest question I've been asked is Clemson's offensive line good enough to win the ACC? Well, they won the ACC last season, and they got to the playoffs last season, and they pretty much have the same offensive line as they do this season. So are they good enough to win the ACC? Yes, they are good enough to win the ACC. They can win the ACC. I predict them to win the ACC. Can they be good enough to beat LSU week 1? That's going to be a big question mark and something we're going to find out very early because it is week 1. This offensive line has most of the unit back. They've got experience. They've got reps. They've got Matt Luke. LSU's front line, though, is absolutely no joke. I've talked about them up and down. I've given you some previews. I've made some LSU fans upset here and there. I've made some Clemson fans upset here and there talking about how good LSU is. You go back and listen. I've tried to be as unbiased as possible, but also hype up my own team and my own fan base strategically as well. But LSU edge rushers, they are pretty good. Now, they're starting guys. We're thinking Jack Pyburn from Florida, a transfer, not a guy that's going to get you a ton of sacks. He didn't have but 1 sack last season. And so statistically speaking on paper, while he might have been one of the better defensive ends in the portal, that's my big question mark is what does it mean to be one of the best players in the portal? I mean, his stat sheet is not sticking out to me as somebody that is scary to me. So how good will Jack Pyburn be? Where will he match up? Will he match up against Tristan Leigh or Blake Miller? I trust both of those guys to handle those guys. Patrick Payton, good, really good for 2 seasons and then kind of fell off once he got paid. So how much are you paying him? That's my big question. He lost a bunch of motivation last season and his stat sheet went down. And these 2 guys statistically on paper are not as good as Will Helt. And so what that Clemson's left tackle, right tackle are going to have to go against, they're going against guys that are better already in practice. Can Patrick Payton be better? Yeah, Patrick Payton can be a TJ Parker type guy. He can be a Will Helt type guy, but statistically he's been going down. So can he revive and get new motivation under LSU? Possibly. kind of believe he will. Jack Pyburn, I don't really know. Some people say he might even not even be the starter because some of the backup guys are a little bit better. Have backup guys that some of the best in the state of Louisiana, their position. So they definitely have a rotation of guys. LSU is stacked at the defensive line. Are they going to be able to overpower what Clemson has? The biggest concern for me, though, is the interior defensive line. Dominic McKinley is a true five-star freak athlete, Dexter Lawrence type guy who hasn't really even started off yet. They want him to come out hot and ready and disrupt the offensive line immediately. Ahmad Bro, another big-time high upside disruptor on the interior. You do not want those two guys to get going quick. You do not want McKinley to just tear up Ryan Linthicum. He is an absolute freak athlete, a beast. Both of these guys can be disruptive. Now, Ahmad Bro, you can't really look at either one of the guys' stats because interior linemen never get any love in the stat book, right? But both guys who Bro has more experience. McKinley's this new young guy who could be a future first-round draft pick. And while LSU, as a lot of transfers, it does help them with their depth. They've got a lot of depth on the defensive line. I would say they have more depth at the defensive end position than Clemson does. Clemson's biggest concern is outside of Parker and Will Helt, you really don't want the rest of them. Dabo does, but I'm going to say as a fan, the other guys have a lot to prove. The other guys, when they're out there, that's when the big chunk plays happen. Outside of maybe Jaheim Lawson. Now, we haven't heard anything on Darian Mayo, but he could be a guy that could go stop the bleeding outside of the two starters. But LSU has rotational guys that are very legit. They have guys that can come in and not much fall off. As I mentioned, they have a couple of guys who are better than Pyburn that can come in and really disrupt what Clemson is trying to do. The reason why I would have at least not as much worry about Clemson's offensive line in this scenario is simply because they're matched up against the offensive line that has a lot of experience and a great coach. So if this is the year that Clemson is going to have the best protection possible, it's going to be this year. It's going to be this year with this group of guys. It's been 5 years or more since Clemson's had an offensive line that's this trustworthy that you can count on and believe in. As long as they stay healthy, I would trust this offensive line to hold up against the best. Now, again, this is one of the best teams in the country. Some I've even seeing on social media saying this could be the potential national championship team in LSU or Clemson. A preliminary battle between two teams that could be national champions. So early leverage is going to be important. If they come out hot, you let Dominic McKinley just destroy you. Fine. It's going to be a very, very long day. I'm not going to be looking forward to it. No, you're not going to want to see it. Gabriel Relaford and Jamari Butler, two guys too. Butler, I believe, from Nebraska. Relaford, who's another high upside guy as well on the defensive end. They're solid. Going to be the biggest test that Clemson could possibly have all season. Honestly, I'm not even going to say possibly. This is going to be the biggest test that Clemson's going to have when it comes to their offensive line against the defensive line. This is one of the better defensive lines in the country. Clemson also has one as well. I think Clemson has a better defensive line starting four than LSU. I think LSU has better depth at defensive end than Clemson. I think Clemson has better depth at defensive tackle than LSU. Offensive line compared between the two, both extremely talented offensive lines. The one that has the more veteran guys, the guys that have had more experience, that is Clemson, as far as an offensive line. That's the one reason I have a little bit of sliver of hope that they'll come out of this victorious, and also because it's a home game. But that's the biggest thing for me. This is going to be a knockdown, drag-out battle between Clemson, LSU in the trenches. If one gets out strong, then it could be walking out early, because that's how dominant they could be. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. Got a little bit of discussion on that offensive line, defensive line, LSU matchup, and what we could see with battles going into 5 is pretty exciting to see, because now we're going to have some actual practice footage. We're going to have some conversations with players post-practice, coaches post-practice. This is it. I mean, the season starts. And all we have to do is keep counting down the days to August 30th. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today. For your second listen, make sure to check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.